Repatriated cruise ship worker is Grenada's latest COVID-19 confirmed case. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back with the details to the news for Monday, May 25th, 2020. I am Sherry Ann Noel. Repatriated cruise ship worker is Grenada's 23rd positive confirmed COVID-19 case. Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele made the announcement during a press conference on Monday. Grenada's 23rd case was among 42 Grenadians who arrived home on Sunday. They are the fourth batch of workers to be brought home following the closure of the industry due to the global pandemic. According to Minister Steele, 14 of the 42 test results raised red flags, but a rapid test revealed only one positive case.
14 tests were done today. All 40-odd individuals, 46 individuals who came in yesterday were rapid tested. Of those, there were a certain amount that raised a flag on the rapid test, and those individuals were tested, of which 14 tests were done today. Of those 14, 13 are negative, 1 is positive. One of the individuals from the cruise ship is COVID-19 positive at present.
He explained that health officials are not surprised by the results of the test.
We expected in the process of repatriating. This was why we had these constant negotiations and discussions that resulted in delays of bringing our sons and daughters home. But it shows that our system of screening and our reason for being cautious is valid. So I want to thank those who were involved in that screening process yesterday and making sure that these individuals were quarantined. I want to use this as an opportunity to reinforce to those who did spend time in quarantine and did have some issues to say that this is why. This is why we asked them to go through that additional hardship, so to speak, or inconvenience before they came into Grenada fully. And that in our opinion, these individuals have not fully been brought back to Grenada. They are on our shores but being held in quarantine. And in that quarantine process, we have picked up one individual that is positive. All individuals will remain in quarantine, and all individuals will be tested by PCR before they leave quarantine, regardless of whether they show any symptoms or not.
Moving along, with the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season set to begin officially on June 1st, Acting Coordinator of the National Disaster Management Agency, NaDMA, Sylvan McIntyre, says his agency is prepared as it can be. He says the prediction is for 16 storms, 8 of which can become hurricanes and 4 major hurricanes. Already one system was formed on May 16th outside of the hurricane period. McIntyre says ensuring the readiness of emergency shelters is one of NaDMA's responsibilities. Shelters are placed in 2 categories, primary and secondary.
We would have in excess of 100 shelters. So we had like 135 plus last year for both primary and secondary shelters. For 2020, as is normal, every year we would do a re-inspection of the facilities. By June 1st, if the list is not available, the previous list is the one that has to be used, because they are not called hurricane shelters, they are emergency shelters. And people tend not to understand that, because an emergency can happen at any time, requiring people to occupy facilities for a considerable period of time, and that's what a shelter really is. So if we are only waiting on the hurricane season to determine that we have places for shelter, we have missed it.
He says the re-inspection of the emergency shelters is to ensure that they are fit for the purposes intended and that protocols are followed during the period of COVID-19.
What we are doing is a confirmatory inspection to ensure that these facilities, they have been maintained and things have not deteriorated considerably. And if you analyze things really good, except you had some massive national crisis or disaster, your buildings and facilities should not deteriorate so terribly in 12 months' time. So that's a comfort for people that the 2019 should be okay for 2020.
McIntyre says the inspection process is ongoing and involves a team that consists of engineers that have volunteered their time to assist with the process, and already over 25 shelters have been inspected.
We have the Grenada Association of Professional Engineers. They are on board, and they would be assisting us in the inspection process to ensure that we are able to capture as much facilities as we could within a given time. As a matter of fact, in a matter of days, we'll be convening a larger meeting where we'll be putting a plan in place to make a national launch in terms of, we will just try to find every building have been identified as that could be a shelter. These volunteer engineers that have committed their service to helping us along with the Ministry of Works, and that is commendable.
Volunteers.
Yeah, very, very, very commendable. The engineers, the association, they decide to come on board. So they'll be assisting us in looking at the physical integrity of those facilities.
There will be additional guidelines and rules that must be adhered to. That includes wearing a face mask and having personal sanitizing solutions. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele says government will make an announcement as to when the country's borders will reopen once all the necessary measures and steps are in place. He says reasonably they must give at least 2 weeks notice for airlines to schedule their flights. During a press conference on Monday, the Minister of Health said the plan is to ensure that when people return, they return to a safe country that will not be unduly exposed to COVID-19 by any action that may be taken.
There are certain milestones that must be passed or accomplished. The number of rapid tests on island, in stock on island physically, before we open, a requisite number, literally a 3-month supply. The mechanism to test at even higher levels, although we have increased our ability to rapid test. We have to even further increase that and see it working and know that it functions before we allow flights to come in on a regular basis. The ability to have even more sensitive and greater levels of individuals involved in contact tracing, to react much faster, and to react much wider before we allow regular flights in.
Minister Steele says that they have applied a different approach to the opening of the borders, as the first priority is to strengthen health care and to ensure that quarantine facilities are adequate.
Ensuring that while we have strengthened our health system to react to the possible eventuality of somebody needing medical attention as a result of COVID-19, we're going to take this time as well to further strengthen it and put additional mechanisms in place before we allow the first flight in. So I know it is creating a lot of heartache and confusion to those out there who simply want to book a flight and come home. And I look forward to the date that we can announce that, and then that date that we can welcome them home. But as is in the case of the individuals who returned from cruise ships, it shows that our reason to be additionally cautious has been valid there. And I truly believe that our reason to be cautious with respect to opening up our borders and actually committing to an early date is valid as well.
Also at Monday's press conference, Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin commended the level of community spirit exhibited in some parts of the country that complement the work of the Royal Grenada Police Force. During the press conference on Monday afternoon, the Commissioner said they have been able to trust some areas to community support, following which the RGPF will facilitate a response to reports made. And finally in the news, the Spicemas Corporation plans to stage virtual events in the absence of Spicemas Festival this year. The SMC had taken a decision to cancel the festival to protect the health and safety of citizens in the face of COVID-19. Chief Executive Officer Kevin Jacob says while the cancellation will negatively impact many stakeholders, they are comfortable with the decision. But he says they are also aware of the psychosocial effect the cancellation can have on many.
Despite the cancellation of Spicemas 2020, however, our carnival culture must be maintained. So once we are reopened, we will engage in planning virtual events to keep our carnival culture alive in the minds of our people. Once these activities are finalized, the details will be shared with the public. The corporation will also use the downtime during this period to focus on administrative improvements, as well as engage in research of new and innovative ways of carrying out the mandate of Spicemas going forward. As we know, a lot of things will have to change in the entertainment industry post-COVID-19. As a corporation, we will want to be proactive rather than reactive in adjusting to the new trends in the entertainment industry.
He says activities will be planned bearing in mind our current circumstances.
I must emphasize that whatever activities the corporation plans during this period, these activities must follow the protocols laid down by the Ministry of Health and the COVID-19 team. So we will be taking our cue from them as we plan the various activities to keep our carnival culture alive.
And with that story, we come to the end of the National Report for Monday, May 25th, 2020. Now for a recap of the top story. Repatriated cruise ship worker is Grenada's latest COVID-19 confirmed case. I am Sharian Noel. Thank you for viewing.